Welcome back. We've got a wide-open GOP primary for U.S. Senate, and Senator Maggie Hassan is viewed as one of the most vulnerable incumbents in the nation. One of the many Republicans vying to unseat her joins us in studio this morning. Let's welcome in General Don Bolduc. Thank you for being here, General.
Thank you. It's great to be back, and my best to all your viewers.
Yeah, and we've got Victor, the service dog, around here, too. He's kind of hanging out where he wants to hang out, so if he makes an appearance...
He does that.
That's who that is. All right. So, General, you know, you've been in this race for a long time. Yeah. You've worked so hard at getting that conservative grassroots out there. The fundraising has lagged a little bit, but you're still in the mix. Yeah. How do you contrast yourself right now with others in this race like Chuck Morse and Kevin Smith?
Well, first of all, thank you for that question, because that's a good question. And, you know, when it comes to fundraising, you know, I've been in the race for a year and a half, and we raise enough money to stay in the primary and to run our primary candidacy, right? And so I'm not worried about that. What I am focused on is establishing that grassroots campaign structure, which we have established, and that has paid huge dividends, you know, with volunteers. I don't pay anybody for county chairs. I don't pay anybody for town chairs, for city chairs. We're all connected all across the state in a way that allows us to reach out and touch anybody we can and schedule anything we can and respond to inquiries. And I think this has shown a stark difference between not only Chuck Morse and Kevin Smith, but also Maggie Hassan, who do the top-down, the high-end fundraising, the ads, and the things like that. And let's look at Maggie Hassan. She's been running against me for well over a year and a half now, spending $10 million on ads, going from 51% to 35% approval rating. A year and a half ago, I was 30 points behind her, and I am now tied with her. And I have an edge on the independents with her. And so I think the grassroots campaign that we're doing, the town hall structure, the American Strength agenda that focuses on the economy and out-of-control spending and the safety and security of Americans, and really the divisiveness in both sides of the party, and fighting the establishment on both sides of the party. That's another thing. I'm not the establishment candidate. She is, and so are my opponents. I'm not. I'm the outsider.
You mentioned the establishment. In 2020, you felt like you really got done dirty by the NHGOP in terms of your ability to access voters and events. Do you feel you're getting a fair shake in 2022?
Well, 2022 is different because Granite Staters are different. They're approaching this in a completely different way than they did in 2020. They have realized that both sides of the aisle, whether it's Republican or Democrat, aren't serving them well, and they have got them in the mess that they're in. So they got a lot of explaining to do, and any proxy that's brought on board, you know, that they can control in order to further the status quo, then they're going to have a lot of explaining to do to voters. I've been all over this state multiple times, more so than any other candidate, especially Maggie Hassan. And I'm devastated by what I see and what I hear and what I feel. And both parties should take notice, right, that they have not done the job, one, for Granite Staters and for Americans. And I have visited the homeless under bridges, homeless veterans under bridges. I have talked to many people in many town hall settings, in other settings. Just yesterday, I spoke with a house party, a group of people out in Kingston, and talked to a single-parent young lady who's homeschooling her kids because she feels as a parent she doesn't have the say in what her kid is taught. And when her child comes home with ideas that she feels are better left to parents, she's become very discouraged. So she's a nurse, she has a full-time job, and she's teaching her child at home because the establishment hasn't stood up for parental rights and hasn't stood up for our parents, whether it's medical, whether it's school, the economy. Look at the high inflation, the energy. People are hurting, and I share that with them. We're all in the same boat here. We're all paying for gas, high gas rates, high food, high energy, And that's what Granite Staters are focused, and I understand that. And I am getting out inside the people in a bottom-up way where the other candidates are coming top-down, whether it's ads on TV or it's high-end fundraisers with people that want to control the candidate or people who have selected the candidate. This whole establishment thing that we have going on in this country, where career politicians, special interest lobbyists, and really wealthy political elites run the show, has got to change. It's got us into this mess.
Let's take on some foreign policy. A lot of Republicans are questioning why the U.S. would send $40 billion to help Ukraine in its fight against Russia. If you were in the U.S. Senate, how would you have voted on that aid package?
I would have voted no, and I'll tell you why. Because all this time that has passed, well, we saw the Biden administration sit on their hands, which gave Putin the time and space to be able to do the invasion. And then, you know, NATO and the United States, behind the power curve, you know, came in. They threw some sanctions at him, didn't get him really to adjust his behavior at all. We did what we were supposed to do, and without putting boots on the ground, helped the resistance. And the resistance has been successful, right? Well, where's the rest of the strategy, right? Where is how we're going to get these guys to the table to talk about peace? How are we going to resettle the refugees? How are we going to get together and, as a world community, pay for this? How are we going to hold the Russians accountable for the damage that they've done? This $40 billion, one, we don't have it, and two, it's just going to the same old stuff, and three, we haven't even finished with the original aid package and providing the monies under the original aid package. $13.5 billion that's going directly to the Ukrainian government through our State Department is very concerning to me. I've seen this in Afghanistan and Africa. This top-down approach where you just throw money at the government is a huge source of corruption. And I'm the only candidate that has this experience. Not even Maggie Hassan has this experience. I've seen it. I've lived it. I have respectfully brought this to the attention of my superiors when I was a subordinate commander. And I've watched it happen. So I know what's going on. And I would have been a nay on this vote because of no strategy attached to it.
The lack of defined strategy is one thing. Is it not a bigger gift to Putin to not help the Ukrainians in this moment with his funding?
Well, yes, of course. If we're going to help them with funding, money that we don't have, we need to explain to the American people why. And who else is giving money? We're not the World Bank. We're not the Bank of Ukraine. We're not the bank of anybody. We're not the world police. And we got to start putting measures in place where we're being accountable to the people. It's their money. It's not the government's money. It's not the administration's money. It's the people's money. And right now, we're printing and we're giving other people money that we don't have. It's time to take care of America.
Do you believe President Biden has committed an impeachable offense, anything, in his first 17 months in office?
I think he committed an impeachable offense with the way he left Afghanistan. And I think that the Secretary of State has, the Secretary of Defense has, I believe the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff has. I believe that McKenzie should not have been allowed to retire at the rank of 4-star. He should have been accountable. I believe that all the generals, all the way down to the tactical level, should be held accountable for the 13 lives and 22 service members that were seriously injured and the hundreds of Afghans, and leaving billions of dollars worth of equipment in the hands of the Taliban overnight, making them more capable than 164 other countries in the world militarily, and then allowing them to do the crimes against humanity that they're doing right now to the Afghan people. It's a terrible thing. And just, you know, really, I think the big thing is 7,070 Americans 7,070 Americans gave their lives between Iraq and Afghanistan and other places in the war on terror. And they died for a reason. And the way Joe Biden and his team came out of Afghanistan was a discredit to that sacrifice. He needs to be held accountable.
All right, General Don Bolduc, unfortunately we've hit our time for today, but we'll check in with you again out there on the campaign trail. We appreciate your time on Close Up today, and Victor too, back over there.
It's an honor, and thank you so much, and God bless you, and God bless the family of John DeStasos.
All right, thanks so much for that. We appreciate it, General.